1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
I think there's still a war going on in Sudan.
I think that's a no, cuz that's a real no. No from me.
I'm sure Danny would love that. He loves the thrill, don't you, Danny?
What's that, sorry?
You love the thrill, don't you, of going through war-torn zone. So going through a war-torn zone with.
You know, I don't know. To be honest, I think it's I think that question is a very individual question.
Right.
I suppose it's like asking a journalist why they'd want to be a journalist.
Well.
Because they do the exact same thing. They go through war-torn countries. They serve a purpose, don't they? They serve to find truth and, you know, indemnity and, you know, showcase it throughout the world, etc. So I suppose it depends. It depends the purpose of the person who you're asking. So there's a guy that I listen to online, Mr. Balling. He tells a story about a friend that he used to serve in the American Armed Forces with. He was Special Forces. Right. And this man basically left the American Armed Forces, and I'm pretty sure it was Afghanistan during that period, he went over there, and there's a news story, and this guy who's telling the story, he turns on the TV and he's looking, he sees this man that he used to serve with at one point. Yeah. And he's in Afghanistan, and he's technically classed as a civilian because he's left the armed forces and he's gone over there to fight. And the reason why he'd done it, and in summary, is because he knew as a soldier he couldn't do what he needed to do to help those people, because there was the political avenue with obviously with him being a US soldier, to him going to Afghanistan. Obviously US had pulled out by this point, I believe, maybe. So he said as a civilian he can go over there and he can serve to help those people as a civilian under the guise of maybe helping, I think it was the Afghan armed forces or the Afghan police, and they went and they defeated the Taliban. They took back this whole city, and saved loads of people by doing it. So from his standpoint, the reason why he'd go do something like that is to help people in situations where he can without, I suppose, any formal attachments. I suppose as a journalist, they'd go do something like that to bring truth to the world, maybe for people like all those people who went to Ukraine when the conflict between Ukraine and Russia started. I think partly it's to help, but then I think part of it is glamour, if I'm being fair, because the last great war that we had would have been World War II, and we learn about that in history, and they somewhat glamorize it in a way. Like we're made out to be absolutely like heroes, etc., etc. So I think people go to these places for maybe that kind of aspect to get the hero feel. So I think it's an individual question, really.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. So it would be a maybe for you then.
Maybe. No, I don't think. There is no reason for me to put myself into a position where I need to be in a war-torn country.
Right. Yeah. What about for charity? You could, if it was for.
I mean, I don't particularly believe in charity. To be fair, I think charity is. I think charity is 90% giving your money back to the government and 10% your money being split between all the different overhead.
The leader of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything cost us. And fund the aim of everything cost us.
They somewhat glamorize it in a way, like we're made out to be absolutely like heroes, etc., etc. So I think people go to these places for maybe that kind of aspect to get the hero feel. So I think it's an individual question, really.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. So it would be a maybe for you then.
Maybe. No, I don't think. There is no reason for me to put myself into a position where I need to be in a war-torn country.
Right. Yeah. What about for charity? You could, if it was for.
I mean, I don't particularly believe in charity, to be fair. I think charity is, I think charity is 90% giving your money back to the government and 10% your money being split between all the different overheads of the charity. So I don't tend to do charity anymore. I grew up since my younger days, but go to a war-torn country for charity. I mean, I've got great respect for places like the Red Cross, but essentially the way that I look at it, you're just kind of adding on to the casualties.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, so we still on extreme sports, and there's something that they do in America called monster trucking. I don't know if anyone's seen that, where they line up cars, and then there's this monster truck with big wheels, massive wheels, almost like a farm truck wheels type, and it goes at great speed, and it just tries to get across all these cars. Would that be classed as extreme sports, you think?
I don't know. It's a but then again, you could. I mean, it's not similar in one way, but destruction derbies. I mean, years ago, I remember going to a bit of stock car racing, and it ends up with a destruction derby, and that's got to be dangerous. I mean, sometimes the cars burst into flames. I remember doing that 2 or 3 times years ago, and it was quite exciting to watch the stock cars racing around the track. But when they did the destruction at the end, I mean, the idea was to write off every vehicle that was still moving. And although they were well strapped in, these people, and the cars were reinforced with a roof, it was still pretty hairy stuff. So, yeah. So your big wheels on the in America, they do it, don't they? In the US, I don't know whether I'd call that an extreme sport, as we said about other sports, in the sense that you could get seriously injured. I mean, the wheels on those vehicles are so huge, as you say, they're like tractors, really, and they simply go over the cars on the ground a bit like a tank would. So yeah, there's going to be anything involving heavy machinery, heavy vehicles, and human beings is going to be hairy. It's a bit like motor racing is. Motor racing nowadays, of course, Formula One seems incredibly safe, and that's good. But you go back a few years, and it was actually, there were kind of regular terrible crashes which resulted in people's deaths. But that's been cleaned up. But again, anything involving speed or weight, and your what did you call it? The big wheels thing? I can't remember.
Monster trucking.
Monster trucks, yeah. I mean, it's great to watch, I guess, but I don't think I want to be in one of those monster trucks.
Right, never right. So this is all we've got time for. So you've been watching and listening to the Alien Spaceship with myself, Emmy Hikins, and he calls me bruv.
And me, Trevor Gear, and I call him Cuz.
And Danny.
And Danny.
Conspiracy Dan, we call him. Yeah. So join us next week for another interesting episode. It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything cast us and fund the aim of everything cast us.
One, two, three, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang. With fun, the aim of everything Cuz does.
It's me and my brother, Trevor, and Fanny, Safemo, and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom, and Rose. We all have a lovely show. One, two, three, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang. With fun, the aim of everything Cuz does.
It's me and my brother, Trevor, and Fanny, Safemo, and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom, and Rose, we all have a lovely show every weekday, so join us for a lovely show.
Say hello to Phantom, Dr. Gladys and Rose, three beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. Say hello to old Mimi, Dr. Gladys and Rose, three beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. There's one other bro.